Dude, did you know? I was reading that his name is actually, or it was, Idris Elbow.
No. Don't. No. No.
Hey guys, welcome to the Level With Me podcast.
I couldn't tell if this was the opening bit or we were just having a conversation. I literally thought for a second this wasn't okay.
I thought you might buy into it. I thought if I just deadpanned it, you'd just like be like, really?
For a second there, I thought you were not. I thought you were being serious, and I was like, wait, this is his cold opening starting now. Okay.
You never know when it's coming, Matt. You'll never know.
Never keep me on my toes.
So welcome to the podcast. Again, this is the Level With Me podcast. We're on episode 6 now. Pretty wild.
We're getting there.
Look at us committing to something.
I know.
And yeah, we're live on Monday right now for Patreon members. And for everybody else, this is going live on Wednesday morning-ish Pacific time. So, you know, subscribe, set your calendars, clear your schedule type thing, drop on by. Give it a listen. Matt and I are super famous content creators, and we're going to be talking about games, life, love, loss. What's the live, laugh, love something? What's that dumb thing that people say?
Live, laugh, love. Yeah.
That's
it. You got it.
Yeah, I've got that written on like a big wood plaque, you know, on the
Surprised you don't remember it
house.
if you have it in your home.
Well, you know, it's like you put something up in your home and then you forget about it, right? You're
kind
like,
of
what is that
phases in
thing?
the background. Yeah.
Yeah. For people watching on YouTube, we got some new digs.
It's incredible.
Yes, we're kind of, I think we're in the future a little bit. Yeah. This is sort of like the future, maybe like Seattle in the future, or like kind of a Portland 2050 or something.
I like how it's the future, but also retro at the same time.
Yeah. We still got a Nintendo back there. Is that in
the screen? The screen kind of looks retro too.
Yeah. I kind of like that. You know, it's very
nice contrast.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of cyberpunky, which I think we'll be probably talking about a little bit today. This podcast coming out on Wednesday, which means everybody's knee deep in Phantom Liberty at this point, right? It's technically out today since we're recording on Monday, right?
So I thought it was coming out the 26th, but for many people, 25th.
Okay.
I think it officially releases 25th for PC at like 4 p.m. Pacific. So.
Okay. Oh, right. So they're going to be starting in like an hour. Oh boy.
Yep.
I've been playing it and I feel like I can talk about it now. Well, actually, I technically can. My embargo's up, but
technically I can't.
No spoilers, but Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty it's a game of the year contender.
Really? For an expansion?
Yes. It is incredible. Do you have a 40 series GPU, Matt?
I do not know, unfortunately.
Oh, buddy. Just like
the 3080 Ti is doing all right, but I struggled. I'm basically getting 60 FPS, but I have ray tracing on. Like it looks great. It looks amazing, but I am hurting on the frame rate for 2.0 still.
Go get yourself 40 series because
go pick up $1,000 graphics
This game is
card.
worth it. It's like this is like a cultural moment in gaming. Like the graphics are so ridiculously good. They have like this new experimental path tracing. Like when you go into the settings, it's like it says like prototype or experimental option. You're like engage, and then like the lighting just gets to this level that you're like, I don't understand how they can do this. And then you're also getting like 90 to 110 FPS at like 4K resolution.
That's wild. That's insane.
Ultra graphics. It looks unbelievable. It's playing Starfield and then going to Phantom Liberty. You're like, were these games made 10 years apart from each other?
And the funny thing is one is before the other, which is wild.
Yes.
Technically.
Well, do you remember, I think it was like maybe 2 weeks ago, we were kind of ranting a little bit on the Starfield like character interactions. and how I think everybody's kind of on the same page. They suck. Like they're just not.
They're a little bland.
Yeah. Yes. Unless you love the very old school Bethesda style of doing RPGs, it's sort of awkward and feels dated and whatever.
It does.
Yeah.
Two people standing in front of each other and the camera panning back and forth quickly and just dead eyes staring at each other. Yeah. And then you go into 2.0. I can't speak on Phantom Liberty, and everything is animated.
And it's incredible.
And it's gorgeous. Like the facial animations, they're all doing natural things. Like sometimes you'll come across a guy who's leaning on a railing. He looks over at you like naturally. He'll move around and talk to you naturally.
The dialogue sounds realistic.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, hello there. Like,
hi, citizen.
Hi, citizen. I was just thinking about my life. Let me tell you my feelings. And you're like, what? Like,
out of nowhere. Yeah.
It's night and day. And you're like, oh, this is like what an RPG should feel like. It's a treat playing Phantom Liberty. I don't know how many hours of gameplay there are in it. I think they've estimated around 30 if you do a bunch of the side quests and stuff too.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's plenty. You know, I don't want a 100-hour RPG anymore. I want something that I can beat, basically, or not feel like it's a chore after like 40 hours or something.
Get a really good story, get in, get out. 30 hours is a lot. Like that is a significant amount of time. Maybe it's just because I'm a streamer and dedicating, hundreds of hours.
I think you can do the main thing in 10 to 15. And then it's like 30, depending on how many side quests you integrate.
Side missions and stuff, yeah. Cool.
But I think they learned the side quests are cool. Like there's some mini boss level stuff happening on side quests, as opposed to just saving that content for the main quests, which I think the Cyberpunk 2077 before the DLC was kind of, you didn't hit a lot of mini bosses, and when you did, it was almost always part of the main quest narratives.
Well, it's hard to say because there's the main quest. The Cyberpunk for main story, a lot of the side content feels like it weaves into the main story. Like the main story will hit a lot of the big characters, and then those characters will have their own side things. And it's hard to distinguish what is side and what is main story because they're all so well done. And that might be contributing to that, but I do agree for the most part. Yeah.
What do you think about 2.0?
It's fantastic. I enjoyed Cyberpunk when it originally released, and while it did have its problems, obviously it was a pretty big failure. Let's be honest, it was a failure, but I still enjoyed it. But man, now that everything's been polished up, the fact that it's not stuttering all over the place, I have good frame rate, game looks gorgeous, and there aren't these huge bugs and glitches taking away from the immersion. I'm just completely immersed in this world. I was thinking to myself, like, damn, if this game came out today and launched today, I think it would be a contender for Game of the Year. Easily. Like it's
still incredible. Well, they've managed to update all the visuals too. So the game that launched, somebody did like a side-by-side comparison of like what it used to look like and what it looks like now. And even Johnny Silverhand side by side is just like way more detailed in the character stuff. It's pretty phenomenal that you're like, whoa, these guys just put in, like, they felt bad about how the game launched, I think, and they sold so many copies of this game. They must have made killing, and I think they really put a lot of it back into it with the last couple of years of supporting and building tech around it. And I'm sure NVIDIA has cut them some massive paycheck to use Cyberpunk
for all the DLSS stuff. Yeah.
Because they've been using it as like the prototype platform for like, hey, can we do real-time ray tracing in a game that looks insane? And they did it. And it does look truly insane now. What do you think about the quality of life updates to like character building with your skill trees and the armor system and the cosmetic system? And
Well, you didn't like my kick-ass outfit? Because before you basically became a clown.
Yes.
With your
you
hat,
had like a
your
pink
glasses,
baseball cap and like
you're wearing a skirt.
glasses.
Nothing wrong with wearing a skirt.
But this skirt has 50 armor, bro. I gotta put it on.
It was a terrible system that wasn't well thought out at launch. And now you pick your outfit and it's just an outfit. Yeah. You want to go with a suit and tie? Go for it. You want to look like you're a bum? Go for it. But where your armor comes in is with these cybernetics, which is what makes sense, right? The whole thing of Cyberpunk is chroming yourself out so that you become stronger. And lo and behold, that's what makes you stronger. It gives you more armor, makes you maybe faster with some of them. And it is so much better. And the progression of like, oh yeah, I can go over and buy armor, or I can buy these cybernetics that make me more powerful. And then that just kind of weaves into the overall progression. And it just feels so much smoother.
Yes. The implant progression is like, I remember the first time through that not even being a part of the game, really. You're just like, at some point you realized you could get implants, and then you just went to the store and bought all the best ones. And then you're like, okay, I guess I'm good now. And
it was cool because you could get like double jump still back then, and the mantis blades. But you're right. It wasn't nearly as fleshed out.
Yeah. And now you can you don't have to make a trade-off, right? With like, before, didn't you have to make a trade-off with mantis blades or something?
I can't remember. It's been too long.
There's something, but now it feels like you have all these different options. So I went the Netrunner route again. I just love the Netrunner concept. Okay. I'm like, everybody's got cybernetic implants. Why wouldn't we be hacking them, right? It sounds awesome.
Yeah.
But now they've really integrated the laser garrote wire weapon, whatever it's called. I forgot what it's called in game, but you know what I'm talking about.
I've never used it, but I do. Yeah.
So yeah, you didn't use it before because it kind of sucked before. They didn't, or to make it work, you had to do like a lot of work and build your whole character around it or something. Now they let you integrate it in a really cool way where it can actually deploy quick hacks, and it benefits from quick hacks and all this other stuff. And so I'm like, I'm a Netrunner, but I have a really cool melee option too that wasn't hard to work into my build. Like I didn't have to spend all this time crafting a build around one type of attack. And I feel like that's how the game sort of used to be, where they're like, yeah, if you get all these legendary implants, you can make this crazy build work. But before you get those, the gameplay is just kind of whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying do so much right now without having to like open up a YouTube guide on how to get the legendary implants and like unlock the crazy stuff. And I know that'll be available later, right? Or if I want to do the crazy, you hack a guy and all of a sudden everybody around him dies or something, like that'll come at some point. But
the amount of variety in the perks and the way it allows you, like you can't just do anything that you want. Obviously it's not like that involved, but my current build right now is I focus around SMGs and like ARs and stuff, and I jump around at Mach 5 and fly around and then slow down time at certain moments and just like melt people. And it's really fun. It's fast paced. I'm just bouncing around like an ass and just, becoming a menace. You can go the melee blade where you can start deflecting their bullets right back at them and also slowing down time in the same. You can do a stealth build where you're just throwing daggers at people, and like it's nuts. It's
fun.
Way better.
Yeah.
It is fun. That's the biggest thing, is that before the combat, there's just something felt off about the combat. It just kind of felt And now
you had to really work at making it flow well. And now it seems like it just, whatever you choose, there's a good flow to it if you want to keep working on it.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. The flow is a big part. Yes. Yeah.
Have you messed with the vehicle stuff?
Not too much. No, I haven't purchased a vehicle yet.
So you can hack vehicles now. So you can have a stationary vehicle floor it. So you can if there's always guys leaning up against vehicles or something. They'll be on their cool car at like an outpost, and you floor it. You can take out a guy, or start shooting at it. You can have it initiate parking brakes, so there's more chase scenes in the game now. And so you can hack while you're driving, so another car could be driving, and you're hit the brakes, and it just slams on its brakes, or you can have it floor it and go past you. But I got an implant that lets me take control of a vehicle now. And so you can just run over people. So you just get up on like a perch somewhere. You're like, I want to take out those guys that are guarding that gate. I'm going to hack this car and just drive it into them. And the car just starts going
haywire.
Yeah. Yeah. And they'll either start attacking it or they'll eventually figure out that it's been hacked and they'll try and start tracing your hack. But it's just, it like adds all this fun stuff to the game. It makes it feel like a sandbox now, where before it felt like when you're infiltrating a base with hacks, it was like, well, just hack the camera and then hack the turret and then do the stuff. And that's what you do every time.
You kill everything from the outside of the building.
Yeah. And now I find myself in these combat situations much more frequently where I'm like pausing time with my scan and then detonating like an explosive behind a guy and then using the sonic blast from a radio and then blinding a dude and then coming in close and hitting him with my garrote wire and like just getting all these cool combos. It plays amazingly well, and then it's got a badass story to back it all up and like incredible graphics. And you're like,
yeah, this music's also killer too.
Yes. It's firing on all cylinders, and I hope they can. I don't know what the rule is with DLCs, but it should be considered for like a Game of the Year contender because it's incredible.
Bro, you're hyping this up. I'm already enjoying myself, and damn.
Yeah. Well, I was going to talk about being exhausted because I stayed up all night working on a video for it, which will hopefully drop tomorrow. But I just, because I got a contract to do a showcase of the new DLSS tech, and I was like, of course, I'll take it.
Of course, I'll do it. Yeah.
Because they gave me like 4 or 5 day early access to the game. I was like, great. But when you're sinking 20 hours into something, that 4 and 5 days all of a sudden feels like not enough time. And so, yeah, I had to pull an all-nighter last night to get it in for the due date review
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like exhausted. But part of it is that you're like, oh, I'm just going to capture a little more footage to flesh out this part of the edit.
Yeah, I'm just capturing footage for a video. No, I'm not playing. No, I'm not having any fun at all over here. No.
Nope.
I'll see you in bed.
Yeah. All of a sudden you're on a side quest 3 hours later. You're like, oops, whoops. That was supposed to be 5 minutes of just grabbing a pickup shot. Now I'm like deep down this rabbit hole of a side quest and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I think they said this was going to be the last DLC, which is such a shame because I know they're switching their whole crew over to the Unreal Engine and like saying bye-bye to the Red Engine. But God, they really should keep a crew on just to do one more DLC. Like it's that good.
That's how much you're.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they will. Maybe with this, if this is super successful for them, they might change their mind. Who knows? Or they'll be working on their other project, which they're passionate about, and that passion will bleed through. And yeah, who knows?
Yeah, we'll get Cyberpunk 2077 2. What are they going to call it?
Probably not 2077 2.
Come on, man. That's a great name.
It sounds so bad. It sounds terrible.
It's better than the Call of Duty naming convention. I can't even keep track of when people say I'm playing
Modern
like
Warfare 3. Didn't that also call? No.
Yeah.
10 years from now, it's Modern Warfare again. It just cycle repeats.
Mm-hmm. So we'll get an Unreal version of this at some point, and I assume it'll look even better somehow.
I'm sure it will.
I'm not sure how, but there's no games that are close to this in visual quality. Not close at all. I
can't think of really any. It's
like Red Dead Redemption 2 looks incredible.
It does,
but it's not on this level. The lighting isn't on this level.
I think that's the biggest thing is lighting advancement has just skyrocketed. And lighting you can only do so much for HD textures, right? You can only make a rock look so much like a rock with the textures. What really comes in is the lighting bouncing off the rock that makes it feel and look organic and real.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big next. It's hard for hardware to do it currently, unless you have a 4000 series card. But I think that lighting is going to be the big thing going forward.
I started to notice something that feels like it's part of the experimental tech of this, because there's areas of the game that are really dark to the point where you can't see, and there's no flashlights in the game, which is weird. And
I also found that strange too. There was moments where I wanted to look. Yeah.
But I think it's because they're really going for such a realistic lighting approach that you realize, yeah, if I was crawling around in dark alleys at night, I wouldn't be able to see stuff also. So it looks realistic. They just didn't build in quite a game mechanic to like turn on your flashlight so you can see stuff.
Yeah, but
now.
you also have tech that allows you to, travel, slow down time and double jump. You'd think they'd be able to have night vision, or at least something that would enhance your vision in night.
Maybe they'll come out with the flashlight patch next.
Flashlight eyeballs.
Did you see the speaking of all this crazy tech that they're figuring out how to do, let's be honest, that NVIDIA is figuring out how to do, their stock is through the roof. I think they're making all the cool
Aren't
AI.
they the biggest company in the world now in terms of like stock?
I don't know. They're
huge. It's insane.
Everyone's buying their AI chips, right? That's like one of the biggest markets. So like anybody doing some sort of AI model is like buying the chip from NVIDIA. Yeah. They like, I think they own most of the AI manufacturing stuff.
Yeah.
So one of the tech geniuses at NVIDIA was talking about the future of DLSS technology, right? DLSS has sort of evolved into this thing that it wasn't at the start. Remember, it started off as, I think it was just like a smarter way of smoothing out edges for stuff, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
I think that was the first thing where you could play at like 1080p on like a bigger monitor and it would like smooth out the edges or something. I'm probably remembering incorrectly. And then then it started to integrate upscaling stuff. So you play at 4K and it takes your 1080p image and does smarter upscaling. And that went through several iterations until it got better and better. And now they're doing the frame generation as part of it, which is like, we're just going to figure out how to use AI to create an image in between this image and that image. And now you have more frame rate, and they can surprisingly do it so that the latency isn't really bad. Right. Now they've got the low latency tech built into it as well. Yep. So I don't know how they do it, because you're like, it just doesn't seem possible.
It legitimately feels like magic.
So along this same line of crazy progression in tech, one of the guys at NVIDIA was saying that like DLSS 10 or something might actually be total neural network generative images. And I didn't know what that meant either. I had to kind of like research it a little. All right. But apparently they've demoed this kind of technology in the past, and you can do it right now with AI, which is, you can say, make a commercial that looks like a Coke commercial, and AI will figure out how to make a video.
I got you. Okay.
So they can do that with game
brain went
engines.
To they're gonna insert the graphics into my brain. Like
that's what I thought at first too. I was like, are we gonna be just sitting? Are we gonna look like the characters in Cyberpunk? Are we gonna jack into the net and just be like wasting away in our chairs somewhere?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I love how nightmarish that game makes it all look. You're like, this would be cool if it didn't look awful in every way.
Everyone's in like ice bathtubs, and everyone's, chop shop.
You see a hot chick, humans. And then she like turns around and her face is like a hole with like lights coming out of it, and you're like, okay,
yeah,
you were hot right up until you turned around.
You can't say that.
I mean, you can. What are you gonna do? She's got like cameras coming out of her face, Matt. Like, who am I going to offend? A camera person?
No, it was more just the out of context moment,
Yeah.
She turned around, and then never mind. Keep going. You're good.
Okay, so the generative image stuff, apparently that can be worked into a game engine. They've already tested it. They have like a 2018 demo with Unreal Engine 4 or something. Okay. And I guess you just tell it what you want in the game, and it like makes it for you. And this was like 2018 demonstration stuff, so it wasn't very impressive back then, but this tech is like exponentially getting better right now. So maybe that means at some point either devs or players will have some total creative control over what's happening in the world or what they're seeing, or the new procedurally generated environments will be like 100 times more content rich and believable than they used to be. It's hard to quite know what to make of it, but This guy seemed very confident that this was like a future, that this was like the inevitability.
I'm sure he's going to be confident because that's sort of his position. But
yeah,
I do think it's going to go down that route. I remember when I was playing, I had a viewer say, "Wouldn't it be incredible if all those buildings in Cyberpunk you could go into and you could explore?" And a part of me was like, "Yeah, that'd be really cool." Another part of me like, "It's an office building."
Yeah.
It's just an office building. Why would I want to go explore, Dan in, floor 200? Why? It's just, there's nothing exciting there. The world normally is not that exciting. So unless they were able to somehow, you would have to use AI, right? Like in the future, maybe if you have like a battle royale or something, you have AI generate everything within a level inside of a building. Like you could make that work. But I just don't see the justification for doing that unless there is something to actually do there.
Yeah.
And even with this kind of technology, you have to ask, like, when is enough? Like, there's got to be a point where it's like, we need to stop. Not everything needs to be content, right? Not every corner of the world needs to be interesting because it would just be overflowing.
You still need game design at the end of the day, right?
Right.
You can't just go plug in the procedural generation code and now I have a game, because we've all played those big procedurally generated games that are boring as heck because the content, it's mile wide, inch deep type game design philosophy where you're like, look at all this content that's exactly the same.
And not to keep ragging on Starfield. I like Starfield. I want to put it out there. Really enjoyed it. Put like 70 hours into it.
Wow.
But the planets were a snooze.
Yeah.
Like I did not care about any planet I came across. There were some cool scenes. There was some cool, like if you went to Saturn and on one of the moons, like I think Titan, you could see Saturn and it was gorgeous. That's it. Like it's just a backdrop. And then everything around you is just kind of the same landscape everywhere.
The environments were super underwhelming, like compared to any decent action single player game that came out in the last 5 to 6 years. Those all have way more interesting environments than the planets in Starfield, which are just like, here's some topography and then like a base bunker type research lab.
Right.
Okay. Every single planet, basically same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they can use that technology to make that more interesting.
Yeah. The cool. AI generative stuff, that would be crazy.
If they could do that, then that's awesome. But I don't know. It's games are going to get really huge if that's the case. Like if every piece of every planet is now an interesting story to be told because an AI has created something for you to play. What if it's not?
What if you're thinking about it wrong? So rather than scale, maybe you scale it down, but now one guy can be like, I'm going to make a level that's incredibly detailed and I'm going to go into every part and sort of just tell the AI what to build there. Be like, can you move that lamp over? Or I want more street lamps that look like this. And can I have some more trees? That kind of work takes days, weeks, and really high level artistic talent to make it look good. If all of a sudden that workload becomes easy for the layman to do, now you don't have to make the biggest game ever, but you can still make a high quality game without necessarily the insane skill set that it would have taken before. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of the new engine tech and what Unreal's doing and stuff. They're making game development far more accessible. And this just sounds like it'll have, I think, both angles where you could make it huge easily, or you could make it extremely detailed with way less effort.
I think it's the future. I think you can't close Pandora's box and it's already wide open. Like this technology is going to be everywhere. But hopefully it's just going to be a tool that is used and it's not just going to be just generated, at random.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I think our podcast background is a good example of sort of the limitations of AI tech. The first 5 episodes, we had an AI generated image. I ran through like maybe 20 different versions of it until I got something that looked approximately to what I wanted. Then we used that as a placeholder and I sent that image off to an actual artist who I liked and followed on Twitter for a while. Said, can you do this type of environment, but in your style? And now we've got that, and it's got way more personality, and I like it more. And it's like, it's
fantastic.
cool. And we got to ask him to put stuff into it. We got your bowl in there. And your lava lamp, Matt. I know
I
you're
don't
big,
have a lava lamp. I don't know why you thought I had a lava lamp.
You should have a lava lamp.
Apparently I should. It looks good back there.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. You could be the lava lamp streamer. That'd be like your thing. You're like, hey, it's lava lamp Matt here. Like, just no. All right.
The bowls are enough. I already look like I designed like live like a grandma. So
yeah. Do you have any curio cabinets in your room with maybe some old tea saucers and?
No, I do not. No,
some
just
old
books.
Porcelain dolls, perhaps.
No, just books level.
Do you have a knitting set up in the corner?
I'm not actually a grandmother level cap.
Are you sitting? Is your gaming chair a rocking chair?
I mean, I guess it could be.
That'd be really funny just to like do like an April Fool's, like, this is the best gaming chair ever, and it's like an old school rocking chair.
Literally just a rocking chair, yeah.
Yeah. Could sell somebody on it, What is the like Racer X rocking chair or something?
We have a new merchandise.
So what else you been playing?
A lot of that. Ironically, I've also been playing Crew Motorfest. Motorsport. I can't remember.
Is there a new Crew game out?
Yeah, it's a new Crew game. Okay. It's set in Hawaii, and I'm not the biggest car guy in terms of driving. I don't like driving in real life. But I only recently just got involved with racing games. But like, I've been oddly just vibing with them.
They're coming back right now, dude. I see racing games all over like social media now. People are getting into them.
The new Forza game's coming out, I think, in about a month, which I'm really hyped for. But that's going to be more of a sim than it is like a casual arcadey game. So that's going to be my first kind of dipping my toes into that genre. But
are you going to get
from
a wheel?
The outside, I've thought about it. I have. I've actually watched many videos. They're expensive though.
Would you just spend some of your
the nice ones are like $600. They're pricey.
Matt, I got a joystick on my left that cost me $500. I got a joystick on my right that cost me $600. Like, just spend some money, okay?
All I spend money on books, bro. That's it. So what I was trying to say is, from the outside looking in, racing games just kind of look like you slow down your car, you make a turn, and you follow the racing lines, and that just sounds really boring. But when you actually get in there, I mean, to people that are, actually drive cars regularly or have played these games, it's so much more involved.
Yeah.
Because each car is different. The weight of the car matters. Sometimes you do have to brake hard or slow. Shifting your gears at the right moment, all of that.
Passing etiquette and rules too. That's a big thing
which
in
I definitely
online
don't
racing.
abide by. And in the Crew, no one does. Dude, the multiplayer at the beginning, it's 28 people, and you are slamming into people.
How many people just
walls.
Destroy themselves in the first turn of the race? Like,
it's mayhem. Yeah, absolute mayhem. And when a big turn's coming up, because you can see all the cars piling up in a corner, and you take it slow and then just zip by all of them, it's glorious.
Yeah,
because they're all just trying to go as fast as humanly possible. So it's been fun. I don't think it's the best racing game out there, but it's just been enjoyable driving around in the beauty of Hawaii. And yeah, so that's been one game. I also checked out. Have you played Titanfall 2 since the recent?
I've been dabbling a little, and I want to get in and like maybe even make a video on it or something. Because it's had a resurgence and
a little bit.
Didn't it go on sale for like $3 or something?
So it always has these little moments where it has a $3 sale. It's happened many times, and then a huge amount of people come back. I think a lot of them play the single player when that happens, but now the multiplayer is
they
working.
patched the game while they did a sale, and they hadn't patched the game in years or something.
Yeah.
Like, it was forever. A dead game in terms of dev support, right? And they came back and were like, hey, let's fix the servers and all this other stuff. And now it's not like a pain to try and play it.
Well, they were having problems with like hackers DDoSing for months, or if not years. Like, it was awful. It was literally killing the game.
So insane. I don't actually remember all the details, but it's like, It's like literally vendetta level like DDoSing, and you're like, that's insane to like.
From what I remember, God, I can't. God, yeah, it was wild. Never mind. I don't want to get into it.
We're not gonna remember the details either,
right?
And then we're gonna get DDoSed, Matt. But DDoSed Matt, not Jesus.
Me. Please no. But anyways, they finally look like they have tightened up everything in terms of the servers, and you can just join in. Before, you'd have to go into the they had modded servers. There was the Titanfall modded community. I can't remember what the North Star, I think North Star community, and that was like really the only way to play. And then now, either they fixed it or the people that were doing that earlier stopped. But regardless of the reason, people are now finally able to play Titanfall 2. And since it's such a beloved game, it's back. Who knows for how long? But that doesn't matter, because jump in and play and have fun in the moment.
Yeah, it's a game that nobody's gonna recreate. Like no other studio is gonna recreate, right? No, only Respawn will make another Titanfall type game, because one, it's not really a hugely successful game. It's very high skill, which traditionally is a very hard to sell game. You're like, come buy this game. It's super hard. Well, okay, you've just cut off a huge portion of your FPS audience. I
played and there was a squad and I got dumpstered.
Yeah.
Like, I got absolutely thrashed. And it was to the point where I played them like 3 times in a row. And the 4th time, I'm like, all right, I'm out, guys. I'm out. Like, I'm not having fun. Yeah. Like, I'm literally not enjoying my time here. And I actually think that's why the game probably didn't take off as much, is because once you do start going toe to toe with these people, like, I know people like to say like, oh, get good. This is why MMR sucks, because, you know, this is why I think MMR is actually not a horrible thing. Because I was even someone like me, who I would like to say I'm decent at. I'm not the best first person shooter player. I'm getting older. I'm getting slower.
I mean, you don't sell yourself short. You're probably, any game you jump into that's a shooter, you're going to be in like the top 5% probably right away.
So I was struggling against these guys. Now imagine someone who's brand new and get just not even feeling like they can even move, and they're just getting destroyed. So I think that was one thing that kind of hurt. I'm not advocating for strong skill-based matchmaking to the point where it destroys a game, right? Like, we've had this discussion before, but you know what I mean, is when there is this large skill ceiling, it can be tough.
It's
to
also
keep the
got
player base engaged.
It's not just skill too. It's a significant learning curve too, because there's a lot of different weapons, a lot of different builds. What Titan do you use? When do you call it in? Like, what don't they have like perk setups and stuff like that too, or something similar to it?
There are some perks, yes, yeah.
So, and then of course there's all the parkour level knowledge. Like, how do I know what walls I can run on and jump from this there to there? Like, somebody who knows what they're doing can get across the map in like a third the time as somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. And that's massive. So it's but then again, we've got games like Rainbow Six Siege where you come into that now and you're like, oh, I'm just going to get dunked on for hours and hours and hours until I figure out how to play the game.
Yep.
But it's successful. So maybe it just needs that really strong start where you get enough people in who are all at the same skill level, and then enough of them stick around and they develop a community, and then people want to be part of the community. And that's how it kind of grows, because your friends are talking about it and they're like, oh yeah, man, you should come play Titanfall 2 with us. We'll show you the ropes, come on board. And then you kind of grow from there, where you have
well, you obviously don't need to have a game have like not a high skill, like Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike is like the biggest first-person shooter in the world, and it has an insanely high skill ceiling.
But it's very simple in terms of like, you're not wall running. It's all recoil. It's mostly recoil and like where to throw grenades, basically.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Like it's still, there's a lot of skill involved, and I actually think that's one of the reasons, because it is the movement and is fairly simple. The maps are fairly simple. Is for why it probably does succeed. Where something like Rainbow Six Siege has so much more going on.
Yeah.
For a casual player in Counter-Strike, it's like, oh, I go down a lane and I have an engagement and I either win or I lose. In Rainbow Six Siege, it's like, I got to worry about up above, down below, maybe they're going to come through a wall,
a billion
all these
different gadgets that I don't understand. Yeah.
The complexity of it. And that also speaks to Titanfall, is there is a lot of complexity to that game too. Yeah.
Maybe that's like
fun.
Part of the magic formula is like Counter-Strike isn't what I would call a complex movement shooter by any means, but but it's very tricky with its recoil, right? The game's like 90% controlling your recoil and like 10% knowing where to throw a grenade type thing. Like that's where most of the skill is focused, and they have a huge skill ceiling there, but you're not also having to like parkour your way around a map and hit all your ledge grabs perfectly and stuff. Where Titanfall is like, well, you got to be able to fly through the air, shoot a grappling hook, and headshot that dude while he's moving in the opposite direction as you, and you're
doing the exact same thing that you are.
It's probably harder than other games where you compare it to like maybe even like Quake 3 Arena or the Unreal Tournament, the old school arena shooters. Those games were just movement shooters, but they were simpler than Titanfall to an extent. It was like, here's your jump pads, here's your railguns and rocket launchers. Like, go have fun. You weren't...
I guess the best way to describe it is that the skill ceiling is lower in something maybe like Counter-Strike, but the skill floor is higher for like just to really get going in Counter-Strike doesn't take as much, but then these other games require so much more of you. That's probably why
the onboarding process. I get what you're saying.
Exactly. Right. That might be
so
why
the skill,
it's so hard for casuals.
Curve is like a big wall, right? And then
once you get over it,
however you're measuring it.
I understand.
It's either a wall or flat, depending on how you set up your skill curve.
We're getting curvy in here. Yeah.
But I'm glad it's having a resurgence. I'm glad they patched it. That's pretty wild. I hope that Respawn does something with Titanfall. I think we were mentioning this maybe a podcast or two ago that it probably have legs as a single player only game too, because the Titanfall 2 single player was so well received. If they just like, I don't know, you could split it in half. Like maybe the multiplayer is free like Halo and the single player is the paid for part or something. I don't know. You could do stuff with it, but it's nice to see a resurgence, and it's nice to see more people talking about it. And it is cool to be able to hop on a server and not have to like Google, how do I play Titanfall 2?
Yeah. You got to download all these different sub things, and then you can play. Yeah. Which most people won't do.
Yeah, definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
You want to hear some Star Citizen news?
No.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, if you want to talk about it, go for it. I'm down for listening.
Nothing too crazy is going on with Star Citizen other than it's not working as usual.
I'm so surprised.
That's the latest news. Patch came out, everything exploded, not working. Chris Roberts, who rarely speaks to the community, he does like these letters once or twice a year that's like, here's what's going on, guys, and people are like, he has spoken. He
comes out of his pearly gates.
He stands atop
from the
mountain
above.
And speaks to us with his trumpet or what, I don't know. So he just responded to a forum post about a guy that was a fairly well-known content creator that made a lengthy forum post about quality of life updates they'd like to see, and he made a very lengthy response to it. That was what I like about reading his stuff, is he's just candid. He doesn't like have the PR spin on stuff as much. So
it actually feels like a person's typing it and not just a
he wants people to know where the company's struggling. And I kind of appreciate it because he just gets into it. He's like, okay, here's what's going on. So we decided that rather than coding our own database system for making our persistence system working, we were going to instead buy this really well-rated enterprise-level database software and use that.
Okay.
And apparently it's just not up to the task of scaling to Star Citizen. And every time they update it, the software, it like breaks half of the stuff in the game. So they're working with the company now to like see if there's any way to fix it. Otherwise, they're going to have to find some other database or make their own.
That's not good.
No, and it sucks because he was kind of candid in the email, which was like, we have to invent all of our own technology because there's no engines that can do what we need to do to make Star Citizen a real thing. So we've spent so much of our time developing proprietary technology. Like, it started on the Cry engine, but they call it the Star engine now because there's so little left of the original Cry engine. They've like remade it into like this completely different thing. And they're like, hey, you guys want to like not have to build something from the ground up to make this system work? And so they tried using
and it just didn't work.
Yeah, an enterprise level database, whatever. I don't know enough to talk about this intelligently. I'm like, it's a graphing database, obviously.
Numbers.
The numbers, they go into a spreadsheet and then they
what do they
go
mean,
to
Mason?
Yeah. Pretty much. So he was just candid with it and said that they're going to have a direction in the very near future or whatever. But he also, I've been piecing together information like Sherlock Holmes because there's rumors, of course, there's always rumors that Squadron 42, the single player game, is right around the corner. But
around the corner.
He mentioned that a lot of big quality of life updates are going to come over very soon to the persistent universe because they've been finalized in Squadron 42. And you're like, all the rumors are saying that Squadron 42 might be getting a release date and is getting prepped for an actual game launch. And if the systems are only coming over after they're finalized and polished in the single player, then you're like, okay, well, why are they getting finalized and polished? Maybe they're actually getting close.
Getting ready for launch. That'd be cool.
So
That'd be exciting.
My Kool-Aid drinking fanboy brain is all excited about any little bit of news, because I
hope it's true.
Me too. I feel like Squadron 42 could be like the Cyberpunk of space games, in terms of just a really engaging single player experience.
Yeah. I'm not going to hype it up because it's Starfield.
I'm not saying it's going to be good. I'm just saying I think it will. I think it has a very good chance of being incredible.
Yeah. The potential is there.
Potential. That is what Star Citizen is. It's the game
just
of
full
great
of potential. Can it actually succeed, though? That's the big question.
But can it fail, Matt? That's the other question, right? Because if they just keep getting more money, then it's like it just keeps going, right? And they're like,
didn't it? Yeah. No, can it fail? I mean, they've made
too big to fail.
He's basically just funding the development for decades. It's going to be just a never-ending story of constant updates and because people will still pay for it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I've cut myself off for a while, but one day they're gonna like make some cool thing, and I'm gonna be like, I have to have it. I have to have it.
It's $400 LevelCap. I have to have it.
They're selling a ship right now that's $500, and there's like, I mean,
does it come with a back massage?
It better, man. It's a cargo ship. It's like a big hauling ship. And the trailer for it is super cool, but like you can't do any of the stuff that the trailer shows.
Advertised. Yeah, I was gonna say they've done that before. Where it's like, hey, we got this new cool ship that you can buy, but you can't do anything with it.
They've tried to stick by this promise, which is a more recent promise, which is we're not going to put ships into the verse that don't have a gameplay loop built for them yet, because they've been doing that in the past. Where like, here's your cool ship. You're like, what do we do with it? And they're like, sorry, we haven't invented that part of the game yet. And you're like, I guess I'll just land it on a planet then and look at it or something.
Do nothing.
Yeah. And so that's what a lot of the ships were for a while. And so they decided that they weren't going to do that anymore. And the whole sea, which is the cargo ship, is like, it's right on the edge of like, maybe it'll work kind of, but man, the actual gameplay loop that people want is not there yet. So it's just a $500 ship that looks purty.
Looks real purty.
Looks purty.
Purty. Speaking of really expensive things, did you see the big leak for Microsoft?
No, I didn't actually.
So apparently there was a big leak where Microsoft revealed accidentally all of their future plans for like ever. Now all this information could be subject to change. But there was the big stuff, like they wanted to buy Nintendo. And
yes.
And he had his sights on Nintendo.
Yes. Sorry, I did see that. I didn't realize that was like, when you say leak, I think like the new Xbox or like a game is coming out or something.
Well, that was also it. There was also the 2028 is when the new Xbox is when they're planning on releasing
2028? Who cares?
Well, that was the thing, is that it was like all of their plans for like that long.
AI is going to rule the world in 2028. Like, I mean,
you're not wrong,
bro. We're going to have those cyberpunk eyes. Like, we're just going to be all in the Matrix and in a vegetative state in pods somewhere. Like,
I hope not. but also could be fun.
It could be.
Maybe I could finally get a girlfriend in AI, like an AI girlfriend, right? Regardless, though,
there's got to be a market for this, Matt. I'm gonna start the AI girlfriend business.
I'm sure there will be.
It's probably already there. If we're being realistic.
No, there is. There are like you can have. There are like things that you can have conversations with. There's been like OnlyFans content creators who have like AI that tries to mimic the creator so that you subscribe to it, and then it has conversations with you as if it's the creator of OnlyFans, and which sounds like a terrible idea from my standpoint, but that's what
Mark Zuckerberg was talking about, really wanting to use their AI for, is creating basically these realistic human interaction interfaces for like businesses or content creators or whoever, where they're like, well, I can't respond to all my fans, so I'll just have an AI train to behave like me and then talk to people. I was like, this sounds like a nightmare. Like, what are you talking about, dude?
Especially if
useful for businesses, if you can like, because I mean, okay, whenever you call up like whatever company and they're like, press 4 to like do this, and then you have to like, and it says, say what you're calling about. And you're like, refund, or you're like yelling into the phone. And it's like, would you like to buy a cat? You're like, I said refund, and it's.
My favorite is when it like puts you into a loop, right? You're like, I need to do this. And then it's like, and then it sends you back to the beginning. I'm like, why am I at the beginning again?
Yeah.
And then you tried something else. It's like, oh, we can't help you with this. We're closed for business hours. I'm like,
so if they could have a competent AI talk to you at that stage, I would actually be fine with that. Sounds like a step up. And let's be honest, sometimes you get on the phone with a real person and you're like, do you have any information about how your company works? Because every time I ask you a question, you are like, that's a good question. You're like, why don't you know the answer?
They're just trying to do their job, but I sympathize. I've been there too.
Yeah, there's times where I'm like, I'll take an AI. Give me an AI now that has all the information of your company operating protocol and just distribute it to me. Thank you. Thank you, AI system.
I hear you.
We'll see what happens there. Not that I'm trying to put phone people out of work, but But
the whole idea of responding to, like, let's say you're a content creator and then someone starts like subscribes to your AI and like forms a relationship with your AI, like it just seems really creepy.
Yeah, super creepy.
The whole parasocial dynamic of like some creators, and that feels like it takes it a little bit.
It's too far. We're already very socially disconnected. We're so much more disconnected as a society than when I grew up, I remember taking a bus and like making conversation with people who would sit next to you because people didn't have cell phones, and that's what you did. And you just,
and now everything is apparently cringe if you talk to people around you.
Right. It's like, it's not
everything's
cool,
cringe now,
and it's cringy and it's whatever. So like, we're already in a very different state. You want to take that further and just like, now we don't even talk to each other online. Now we just talk to robots that like say the things that we like.
That's a nightmare.
We should get an AI co-host if one of us is like sick or something. Like, filling in for Matimi0 today is Robo Matt.
Yeah,
we could train it off of you. That'd be cool.
It would probably be a better conversationist too. So it'd probably make for better commentary. To be real.
Robo Matt would have a girlfriend.
That's too far. Come on. That's
Come
too
in and be
far.
like, whoa, Robomat.
That's too far.
Okay.
I mean, it's not. You're not wrong.
Let's get back to Nintendo and why you want Microsoft to buy them. Continue, Matt.
So I don't want them to.
Why not? It would be so cool if one company owned everything.
Phil Spencer, right? That's the guy, the head.
Yeah,
right?
that's Mr. Xbox.
Yeah, he said it would be like a big career-defining moment. It's like, yeah, it'd be a career-defining moment, but like,
so I don't for like one person's glory.
Yeah, exactly. This whole idea, like, I'm okay with them buying Activision to some extent, but at the same time, I do not like this idea of them just gobbling up every company because as a consumer, it's terrible. I love Game Pass.
Yeah.
Game Pass is great. Having the option to play all these Bethesda, and now if it goes through Call of Duty and everything on that platform, sounds nice. Like, it sounds, as a consumer, Game Pass is really great until it becomes not great.
Yeah.
Until they're the only platform out there, and now you're having to pay an unbelievable amount of money, or the quality of games goes down because there's no competition now.
Phil Spencer, they don't need to. Who people seem to generally like. He seems like a legit gamer, and he seems like an actual somebody who wants games to be good and wants to make good gaming platforms and support gaming companies. But when he retires and, corporate
whoever's
executive
next.
CEO Bob hops into place and is like, we need to boost profits, and all of a sudden, well, Microsoft owns 70% of the game industry, and now this tyrant is in charge of it all. Like, that's terrifying. So at the same time, though, part of me is just like, let the AAA world burn and just give it to the indie devs. Because if Microsoft gobbles up all these massive IPs that become stale and non-innovative and safe and whatever, then indie devs are going to start taking over, and that'll just be the cycle. But I don't know. It's still bad, right? They'll almost certainly get the government will intervene with some sort of monopoly thing and be like, you guys own too much of the market. You need to. And now that
they are going after, if they do successfully get Activision, there's no way now they'd ever get Nintendo. There's no way.
Yeah, because who would be left? EA, and you're like,
well, EA, Ubisoft. There are big companies. CD Projekt Red is now massive.
Tencent.
Yeah. There are big gaming companies.
Oh, I know. What's the Swedish one that's massive? Something Group. I forgot what it's called, but they own tons of stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
I'll believe you.
Okay, there are some other very big ones, but it's consolidating a little too much. And you're like, what are the real benefits? There aren't really that many benefits unless you're just like, I want everything on my Xbox. And you're like, well, or you could just relax.
Is that really that important?
Yeah, right? You'll survive if you can't play Ghosts of Tsushima. You'll make it. Okay, if
you'll be okay.
Yeah.
It won't be the end of the world, Timmy. Trust me.
Not that I like exclusive titles and whatnot, but
neither do I. No.
And I also am not a fan of many of Nintendo's business practices. They're kind of like the Apple of gaming. Like,
they get away with a lot.
Yeah, and that
I feel like any other company would not be able to get away with.
Yeah, and they have very weird practices, but they make such good games that it all just works at the end of the day, which I think is sort of Apple's thing too, is like people are like, yeah, but the iPhone is fantastic. And you're like, but all their other business practices really suck. And like, but the iPhone is so great. And you're like,
it's so cool. Speaking of the new one, have you seen it?
I haven't. Is there a new one?
I think there is a new one. I think it's like iPhone 20,000. I don't know anymore.
Is there anything exciting?
I've never owned an iPhone before.
Ooh, are you going to get the new augmented reality goggles for like $2,500 or whatever they are?
No. I will not be getting those.
Well, they don't even. The one thing that I would be curious about with them is like the PC VR application. So you plug it into the PC and then play your Steam VR games through it, right? Which is what all the headsets. Well, yeah, all the VR headsets do that. So they're pretty much all of them are set up for PC VR. So you can plug it into a PC in some way, shape, or form, and then play different type. Like I have a Meta Quest Pro, whatever. All their stupid names, but I still have to have the dumb Facebook interface thing. But I can still run a Steam VR game on it. So it's not convenient, but I can click a few buttons.
You can still do it.
And then you do it. But the Apple one, as far as I know, is not being set up for that. And they want you to use all their proprietary crap, which is very Apple approach to everything.
Closed garden situation. Yep.
We're not going to run our software on your thing because we just don't want to. Like, we totally could, but we don't want to. So that sucks. But we'll see what happens. It could be one of their biggest flops of all time. Every time I play something that's VR, I think this probably isn't the future.
Well, I don't think so I don't think they're going the VR route. I think they're going augmented reality.
Yeah, I think we had this combo last time. Yeah, augmented reality is like for sure a thing, but not when it's like a giant helmet on your face. It's got to be like the glasses that you're wearing right now. It is pretty
massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
like,
cool,
right?
The way they integrate it. And what's wild is that you're watching so it's your room, right? You're looking around your room, but you're not seeing the room. You're seeing a video of your room. Then they're putting it on your screen.
Yeah. And I don't want that. I would rather have like wear glasses like you're wearing and then project the image on top of that or whatever. But there's tech limitation. They got to invent that technology, basically. They're like, we're getting close, but it's not quite there. So that'll be cool in 20 years or whenever that comes out.
However, I think it's neat, but I don't own Apple products, so I'm not invested in that ecosystem, and I don't have any skin in the game, so I'm personally not going to get it. But I do think it's cool technology. Yeah. And eventually one day I think it will be more widespread, because then you could just wear that. You don't need a monitor. You can do it anywhere. You could be in Starbucks and you're like, oh yeah, I got my monitor right here, baby. I look like an idiot, but here we are.
Yeah.
You work. So it's cool. It's cool in theory.
It would be very cool, because I find myself in a lot of situations where, like, I don't know, I'm putting the kids to sleep and like they want me to hang out in their bed for a little bit while they kind of doze off, and I'm like on my phone writing a script or something for like the next day. And it sucks writing a script or trying to do research on a phone, right? Like, you can do it, but it's not convenient. Give me some like augmented reality goggles that I can activate in a waiting room somewhere, and give me like full like multiple displays, and I'm like bringing up my desktop from home or whatever, and I can just get into stuff and do work on the fly. Like, that sounds pretty appealing to me, but I just don't want to wear a helmet everywhere I go.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree. And how comfortable would it be? Because even if it's comfortable for like even just, for 30 minutes, like, well, what about after that 30 minutes?
Yeah, 30 minutes doesn't do me anything. I'm a power user, baby.
I'm here on this computer 24/7. I ain't moving.
Did you want to chat about did you play Payday 3? You did play Payday 3.
I did play Payday 3. Yeah. I've enjoyed it, but I haven't played it since it officially released, and apparently the servers have exploded.
Yeah.
And they've been really struggling, which is too bad, because the game is fun. But yeah.
That was my same experience as I played early access and had no issues whatsoever. And then I launched the video, and I made a video about it, and I launched it. People are like, why would you support this game? This is trash.
Sucks.
I'm like, what happened? Oh, the servers exploded. Whoops.
Yeah. And it's not just the servers. A lot of longtime veterans are upset that there's not like a ton of content in terms.
It's almost impossible to compete with Payday 2, though, because they've been making content for like 10 years.
I understand.
Yeah.
I get that. But still, they set that expectation for themselves, right? But then there's just like quality of life things, right? Like, why can't you have an offline mode? Why was that not in the game? All of these problems right now that they're experiencing, if they had an offline mode, it wouldn't have completely removed it, because people want to play with their friends, but at least you could play the game that you spent money on. There's the fact that you can't like quick match into something. Like, hey, I would just like to play on very hard, and then it just cues me into whatever map.
That seems like an obvious feature, and it's wild that it's not in there.
Yep. So that's frustrating. There's moments where if you queue into a game, you have to listen to the dialogue every time. You have to have the debriefing. Now, I hear that that's the way it worked in Payday 2. I can't remember. It's been so long. But I had a moment where I queued in, listened halfway through, realized, oh wait, I needed to change a weapon, right, in my loadout. So I backed out, or I needed to do something, right? Or maybe I needed to invite someone, and then I had to queue again, and then I had to go through the entire dialogue again. It's like, why can't I just join? What is going on? So there's just a lot of quality life things here and there that also adds to that. I think the current negative response that the game is receiving, mainly the servers. That's the big thing, but
mainly the servers. But you're right. The UI is oddly incompetent. We kept sitting in the lobby because somebody would always forget to hit the ready button because the whole UI is white and they put like ready off to the side and like some weird little thing, as opposed to literally every other game that's like ready up, like in the middle of your screen. It's like, hit the ready button, buddy. And this one's like, it just looks like another button in the menu. You're like, sorry guys, I didn't realize you were waiting on me to hit this white button that looks like every other white button. It's just weird stuff that you're like, it's just, It's
a fun game.
I think it has the potential to become the Payday 2 level success, but it's just starting and it's got a little bit of a rocky start. And I think there's a lot to do if you try and do it stealthy, but I noticed that there weren't bonuses for completing a mission fully stealth. And I was kind of like bummed out by that. Because it took myself and like Drew and a few other guys like well over an hour to like make it through like some of these missions. And then
the reward is the satisfaction of doing it. Yeah. Not the money. And I do think this is another thing, is that you only get level XP for your account by doing challenges. So if you don't complete a challenge or you're not you don't get actual XP, which is a weird decision.
Yeah, not a good one.
Yeah. That's just another thing on top of it. But I agree. There would be nice if there was a little bit more incentive to do it stealthy, maybe an added objective that gave you a little bit more. Because
that's like my Steam account, dude. I'm only level 13 on Steam because you have to collect like 8 cards and then complete the thing.
What a bizarre system.
It's stupid.
It's really stupid.
Because I never 100% complete any game in terms of like all the like, that's not me. I don't care about that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're a low level. I'm like, yeah, but I own like 300 games and have had an account since like 2000 whatever, whenever Steam came out.
So the card system in Steam is stupid because they want you to buy cards. So you only get like half of the cards. If you play a game, you unlock cards naturally, but you only can get like half of the cards unless they've changed it.
Oh.
So if you wanted to get a complete deck, you would then need to go into their ecosystem and buy cards from other players.
But you get 0 XP if you have half the cards and 100% if you have all of them. You're like, how about you just give me a percentage of it?
I think I cared about that when it originally came out, and that was like 10 years ago. And now I just
obviously
like,
I don't care, but
it's stupid.
It annoys me that they always prominently display your little ranking thing, and you're like, why? It means nothing. Stop putting it up
meaningless.
There. Yeah. You're like, oh, he's a high level. He must. Oh, like what?
He must
buy
really
cards
game.
Or like, what? Buy.
You can
Steam
quite
cards?
literally, I think, just buy. Like, if you buy a game, you can then buy all the cards for that game, and then you will it will give you XP to your overall. It's so dumb.
So you can just buy your rank.
Pretty much. Like, how much are they actually making off of this card system, and why is it so prominent?
I hope nothing, because who cares, right?
You would like to think so, but it is Valve. They would do something.
Yeah, it's Valve, one of the biggest game distribution companies in the world. Like, oh man, one day they'll make another game.
One day.
Yeah, I mean there was
Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah, that's not that old.
No,
but we'll see. I think there's a mod to make that non-VR, which is very funny to me.
That's cool.
Yeah, now you can play Half-Life Alyx if you don't own a VR headset or something.
That would be nice. I would probably do that because I don't have a VR. That's how that works.
Oh man. So any good movies, Matt? Any good books?
What have I been doing lately? I finally finished off the Cradle series. Not ironically, but they just came out with the next 3 books of the limited edition on Kickstarter, which I just purchased 2 hours ago. So I'll be picking those up. And that was fun. But really haven't been reading. I'm reading a book called The Sword of Kagan. Only
Sword
like 30 pages.
The Sword of Kegel?
No.
Okay.
No. Been still watching Wheel of Time season 2. Been really into that. The recent episode was fantastic. I don't know if I'm just like losing all sense of what makes a show good anymore, but I really enjoyed season 2. You can enjoy
something, okay, man? Just commit to it. Like
I had someone come into my chat and they're like, I watched season 2 and it's one of the worst shows I've ever watched, and now I'm judging you. I'm like, I thought it was good.
Join any sort of Star Wars discussion on the internet. Nobody agrees on anything. So
like, I thought it was legit. I thought it was way better than season 1. I don't know if I'm just in a different headspace. So I've been enjoying that. That's kind of been the one show.
I'll check it out, and then I will judge you.
And then you'll judge me, and you'll say, like,
so Matt,
right.
Wheel of Time. Whew.
It's trash.
Woo. Worst show ever. Are they hotter in season 2 Wheel of Time?
Why does it matter if they're hot or LevelCap? What do you mean?
You can't throw like 4 fantasy shows at me with crazy hot people in them and then be like, Wheel of Time, they look normal.
Well, Rand goes shirtless, and the actor has buffed up. So if you're into dudes, I know you're married.
If the women are gonna match him on it, like
I didn't. I don't think it. No. It's not. I don't think it's one of those shows. I'm sorry. Have you been seeing anything? Watching anything?
I've been watching some kitty stuff because I got kids.
Okay, I thought you said kitty.
Kitty. I've been watching cat videos too. Have you seen the one where the cat's on the piano mat? It looks like it's playing. It's really funny.
Yeah.
We watched Elemental from Pixar.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've heard it was okay.
It was fine.
It was fine.
Right. Yeah, it's like one of those movies where the kids like it and you're like, okay, we'll keep watching it then.
Yeah, who cares? As long as kids like it.
We've been going back and watching some old school movies with Jeff a little bit, and I just showed him a Miyazaki film because he's watched Totoro, which is very kid appropriate, and he likes that a lot. And then he watched Ponyo, which again is very kid appropriate, and he likes that a lot.
See, I haven't seen either of those.
Okay. Yeah, they're more kid oriented, but they're good movies. I mean, they're Miyazaki, so they're quality.
Yep.
And then we watched Castle in the Sky, and he got a little upset with that one. So I'm kind of like...
Upset? Like scared? Or...
No, it's actually funny is he likes like the action stuff he's cool with. He's like, oh, that was cool. But then like the robot in Castle in the Sky like sacrifices itself or it dies like trying to protect the girl. It like takes a giant cannon shot through the chest and then like burns and like dies, and he got like really upset. And I was like, oh, he gets like upset when like the good characters die. And I was like, that makes sense.
I think that's the appropriate response.
Yeah, I was like, Castle in the Sky or Princess Mononoke? It's a good thing we didn't go Princess Mononoke.
Dude, Princess Mononoke is freaking it is metal. Like the wolf head like chopped off and then it's anime. That is a crazy show.
Well, it's funny because it's one of my favorite animes of all time, but I haven't watched it in a long time, and
it's good.
I was trying to remember because you're desensitized as an adult when you watch it, so the things that might terrify a child don't stand out to you. But as I was sort of like mentally walking myself through the scenes in that film, I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be terrifying.
Yeah,
there is a lot of creepy, like his arm gets infected with the like demon thing, and then he's like shooting people's heads off with the bow and arrow.
Yep.
Yeah, and demons and all that fun stuff. Or
it's not. I remember my dad rented it, thinking like, oh, it's a cartoon. Matt will love this, and I loved it, but it was he wasn't expecting it to be like that. Yeah,
it's intense. It is one of my favorites because it's like it's Miyazaki going like for an actual intense war film, and you're like, whoa, that's like.
Oh, and real quick, by the way, for viewers, back in the day, we had this thing called Blockbuster, and you could go there to rent. You could like spend some money, and you could rent out a movie, and They
still have a video rental store in Portland because, of course, they do. So you can.
Portland's pretty hipster.
No, yeah. I mean, they've probably got all kinds of weird stuff, weird shops in Portland. I do want to go to a pinball arcade in Portland. They're supposed to have a couple of really good ones there. Might check out one of those things, but
apparently there's still a Blockbuster going. There's like one Blockbuster.
A Blockbuster.
It's the final one, I think.
I could see that, like the nostalgia thing. I remember when they were going out of business, there's one right down the street from my apartment, and my wife and I went in there and just like bought all these Blu-rays for like $5 a pop or whatever, just like stacking them up. I was like, bye Blockbuster. Like, we'll take these. So sorry.
So sorry, but thank you. I'll take it.
Yeah. Which are now, of course, obsolete. Right. But for anyone listening, a Blu-ray is looks like a Frisbee.
Man, I remember when DVDs came out and my dad got a DVD player and he was so stoked for it. And the local place had just this one small section for DVDs. We're old, aren't we? We're getting old, man.
I mean, I bought tapes back in the day, dude, from music.
Yeah. Remember the CD players where they had the anti-skip technology?
Yeah. Discmans. Those were pretty dope, man.
Yeah.
And then you could do you remember when you could get car stereo mods were like big because car manufacturers for the longest time were like, why would we put a good stereo in our car? And then they figured it out eventually. But everybody was getting their own custom face plates on and like systems, and you could get ones that you could load up, you could burn a CD, but with MP3s on it instead of the WAV format, right? So it was like much more space efficient to put a MP3 on a CD. You could put like couple hundred or something, and then you could put the CD in your player and you could have like 200 songs on your CD, and you're like, check it out, it's like this is next level, guys. Yeah, this is the entire discography of Metallica on one CD, and you're like, what?
The good old days.
Yeah, that's cool. And then you'd burn your cool mixes and you'd be like, check out this mix, and you'd like,
I remember everyone had the pamphlet with all the CDs.
Yes.
You'd be like, what do you want to listen to, guys?
The one on your visor.
Up top. Yep. The top one too.
You had your favorites up there, right? You're like, hang on, let me get my road trip mix or whatever.
Road trip. Yeah, I love it.
I've got a binder somewhere. We still got a binder somewhere, which is like road trip stuff. So we've got a couple. I've got a 2010 and a 2014 car. I'm not running the latest models, Matt. And so like some situations, it's just the phone won't plug into the stereo and whatever. So you just like put a CD in there. We're going old school.
Do it. Old school. Why? I mean, it works.
It works. I got no shame. Although, man, CDs, they start skipping and degrading after a while. You'll get to a song and you'll be like, oh, like what the? Yeah, there's like an actual lifespan on CDs, which I didn't know
that. That is wild.
Yeah. So even if you keep them in like a nice protected thing, they might not work next time you pop them into a disc reader.
That's too bad. I figured they would have been more durable than that.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Just like us, we're getting old. Same with them. We're not working it like we used to.
Yeah, dude. I pulled an all-nighter working on that Cyberpunk video, and I feel it in my bones, man. I'm like, my bones hurt.
Like your back kind of hurts a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I'm getting to the super cool age where, depending on how you sleep at night, like the position you choose, you can wake up feeling much worse in the morning than you did before you went to sleep. Yeah, I mean, that starts to happen in your 30s, I guess. But
you're like what, 42 now?
Yeah, 48.
You're not 48.
I'm 38. 38.
Yeah.
And I've never been a back sleeper, right? Like, it seems insane to me that anybody would sleep on their back. It's like, why would you do that? That's
apparently it's the best way to sleep, though.
Yes. Yeah. It's like every bit of research is like, sleep on your back. Like, this is how you have to do it. And it kind of makes sense. Like, before, when early man didn't have a bed, you weren't going to sleep on your side. That would be insanely uncomfortable.
Or on your stomach. Can you imagine just being in the dirt?
Yeah.
Just face down, just oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, like everything in history says this is supposed to be how we sleep. And then we invented like Tempur-Pedic mattresses and we're like, let's just sleep all weird and crap. And then you wake up and you're like, oh,
I like
think
how
I'm
you
like
get
broken.
older, you start adding more and more to your bed routine. You know, like you have to sleep with a pillow. You know, you got pillows, and you got the pillow underneath your legs. Then you've got sleep app machines, and then
you do sleep tape. You got the tape.
You can do sleep tape. You can then people have mouth guards. It's like, dude, you look like you're getting ready for battle or something at this point with all these little gadgets and gizmos.
I know, you're like, hang on, I need 30 minutes to prepare to fall asleep. Let me get all this stuff in order,
It's not super sexy though. You roll over to your significant other with a sleep app on and your mouth guard. You're like, hey babe. Hey baby.
I'm so in the mood right now. And she's like, give me 15 minutes to like remove all the things.
Take all this stuff off.
Yeah. And you're like, cool, I'll just like stay in the mood over here thinking about how hot this is going to be.
It's not an image I needed right now.
No, that's why you do it before you go to sleep. And I think that's kind of the philosophy when couples get older. You're like, don't wake me up. Just do it before, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is all stuff I'm well versed into.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Significant others and yeah.
So I'm just holding back all the like body pillow jokes. We'll just leave it there, Matt.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I appreciate it.
You have to put a different cover slip on your body pillow and
depending on the mood.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can sleep with as many body pillows as you want, which is a benefit.
Yeah. It's different kinds
one
too.
Between your legs, one behind your head, wherever you want.
Yeah. It's very versatile. People are going to think I'm so creepy and weird. Stop. We should stop. I mean, it's already too late, but.
I mean, I do want to propagate that because really, Matt, nobody knows, right? We don't know what happens when you turn off the webcam. Okay, we don't know what happens in there.
True.
Yeah, his
but
weird
technically
old
that's true
people
for everyone.
His weird old people furniture, like tons of like fantasy novels. Like, what is going on, Matt? We can weave some cool story, dude. Super cool story.
All right, and that's it for the Level With Me podcast. Thank you everyone for joining us.
I think that is a good spot to wrap up, though. We've covered most everything that's happened. I didn't mention Patreon at the start of the stream, or maybe I did, but I'm going to mention it again, regardless. You can come support us on Patreon. We finally got monetized on YouTube, so now we're making dollar bills, baby.
Literally dollars.
Literally multiple dollars.
Literally dollars.
Tens of dollars, Matt. Maybe. We are at tens of dollars now on YouTube.
Have we officially broken through?
We have officially broken through tens of dollars. There are multiple digits when you look at the payout thing there. Multiple.
We're gaming, man. Yeah. We're doing it.
So we thank you all for your support, Patreon members, and just people who want to subscribe. Hit that little notification bell. The episodes come out on Wednesdays. Patreon members get to join us live on Mondays and ask us questions and tell us how we're screwing up our stream and chat and stuff like that. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Any closing words, Matt? Any crazy games you're going to be playing next week? Isn't there like another game coming out this week or next week or something?
Well, I'm going to be playing Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. That's the big one. What else is coming out? Are you going to
do, is the 40K update coming out soon that's going to like redesign all the characters?
40K update?
Yeah, Dark Tide. Warhammer Dark Tide.
Oh, is that happening?
It might be this week or next week. Okay.
But I
can't remember if that's happening really soon.
There is I believe there's the new Assassin's Creed game coming out soon, which I do plan on playing.
Yeah.
So that's like I think that's the other big title releasing, but other than that, no.
Gotcha.
I mean, I play all sorts. I fly by the seat of my pants, dude. I'm just like, oh, there's a new game. I'm playing it. All right.
Well, I think Phantom Liberty will take up some time, and then eventually there will be another Battlefield DLC, and we can link up for some sweet rounds, man.
That's in October, yeah?
I should probably find out. I'm doing some sort of like collaboration thing with them. Like, it's probably the due date for that's probably coming up soon. I should probably look at the calendar.
Yeah, whatever. All completely different discussion. But
yes. All right, guys. Well, that's what we're going to be doing. Thank you guys so much for watching. And we'll be back next week, same time, maybe with a guest, maybe not with a guest. Let us know in the comments who you want us to get as a guest, and we will 100% get them.
100%.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. Not to happen.
Not to happen. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you later. Matt, closing words?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.